Welcome back to Fairy Tale Nights. My name is James, and tonight I invite you to slow down, to gently set the day aside, and to arrive fully in this quiet moment. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing find its own unhurried rhythm. In this story, we will travel to a winter valley where snow falls patiently and where silence is not empty but kind. Once each year, without music or announcement, a small carnival appears there. Not to entertain, but to offer rest. It comes for those who have been carrying too much for too long. The Winter Carnival of Quiet Dreams is a gentle fairy tale about stillness and about listening to what has been quietly waiting beneath the noise of everyday life. Nothing needs to be solved. Nothing needs to be chased. Only noticed. As you listen, you don't need to hold on to every word. Let the images drift in and out like snowflakes in the dark. Simply allow yourself to be carried. Take one slow breath in and an even slower breath out. And when you're ready, let us begin. The valley lay far to the north, in a place where winter was not a season but a presence. Snow arrived early there and lingered late, settling gently into the rhythm of life. It did not rush. It did not threaten. It simply stayed, blanketing hills and rooftops alike with a quiet kind of patience. The town itself was small and carefully spaced, as if even the buildings respected one another's need for silence. Roofs sloped under the weight of snow. Chimneys breathed out thin lines of smoke, and windows glowed softly in the long blue evenings. Sound traveled differently here. Footsteps were muted, voices instinctively lowered. Even laughter seemed to pause before floating into the cold air. People in the valley lived simply. Days were shaped by routine. Tending fires, clearing paths, sharing meals that warmed the hands as much as the body. Nights arrived early, stretching wide and calm, inviting rest whether one felt ready or not. There was comfort in this predictability, but also something heavier, something unspoken that settled in during the long months of darkness. Beyond the last row of houses lay an open field, wide and pale, bordered by frost-laced trees. Most of the year, it remained untouched, a place where snow gathered in smooth, unbroken sheets. Children were warned not to wander there alone, not because it was dangerous, but because it felt different. As though the field remembered things. Each winter, without fail, the townspeople sensed a subtle change when the cold grew deepest. A stillness beneath the stillness. Lamps seemed warmer. Dreams grew sharper, more vivid. And though no one spoke of it openly, everyone felt the same quiet understanding settle in their bones. Something was drawing near, and the valley, wrapped in snow and waiting, held its breath. It never arrived as a letter. There was no bell rung, no voice calling from the edge of the town. The invitation came softly, the way winter itself did, through feeling. It began as a restlessness that had no sharp edge, a gentle unease, like waking from a dream you couldn't quite remember, yet carried with you throughout the day. People paused more often in doorways. They stood longer at windows, watching snow fall as if it were trying to tell them something important. Our traveler felt it too. They had lived in the valley for many years, long enough for the winters to blur together, long enough to forget when rest had last felt complete. Days passed without incident, yet each one left behind a quiet tiredness, the kind that sleep alone could not reach. One evening, just as dusk folded itself over the rooftops, the feeling became clearer. Not louder, clearer. A pull, gentle but steady, toward the open field beyond the town. The same field everyone avoided speaking about. The same field now glowing faintly beneath the snow, as if moonlight had learned a new language. The traveler buttoned their coat without quite deciding to. Their boots found the path on their own. Around them, other doors opened. Other figures stepped into the cold, faces calm, eyes distant, all moving in the same direction without exchanging a word. No one asked where they were going. Everyone already knew. As they reached the edge of the field, the air shifted. Lanterns appeared where there had been none moments before. Suspended, warm, and soundless. Tents rose slowly from the snow, fabric breathing as if waking from a long sleep. The winter carnival had arrived, and with it, the quiet promise that something long ignored was finally ready to be seen. The snow beneath their boots felt different as soon as the traveler crossed into the field. Softer, somehow, as if it remembered being touched. Each step landed without sound, leaving no clear print behind, only a faint shimmer that slowly faded back into white. The lanterns hovered at a careful height, casting a warm amber glow that did not flicker or sway. There were no visible flames inside them, yet they breathed with a steady light, like patient hearts. Their warmth did not melt the snow, but it eased the cold just enough to feel welcomed rather than endured. The tents stood in a wide, gentle curve, their canvas pale as moonlight. Frost traced delicate patterns along their edges, and each entrance was tied back with ribbons that moved though there was no wind. From somewhere deep within the carnival came a sense of music. Not something heard, but something felt. A slow rhythm that settled behind the ribs and matched itself to the breath. The traveler hesitated, then stepped forward. Inside the first tent, the air carried the scent of old paper and winter herbs. Shelves lined the walls, filled with objects that seemed ordinary at first glance. A single glove, a cracked teacup, a small wooden toy worn smooth by time. As the traveler passed, each item stirred something quiet within them. Not pain, not joy. Recognition. They understood, without being told, that these were not lost things. They were set aside things. Moments postponed. Feelings never given space. Rest promised later. The traveler did not touch anything. There was no need. Simply being near was enough. With every step, a small weight loosened, one they hadn't known they were carrying. Outside, figures moved slowly between tents. No one hurried. No one spoke. Faces were soft, unguarded, as if the usual effort of being seen had been gently lifted for the night. Strangers passed like familiar thoughts, acknowledged without explanation. At the center of the carnival, something larger waited. A structure still half hidden, wrapped in deeper shadow and colder light. The traveler felt its presence before they saw it. And though a part of them wished to turn away, another part, quieter, older, knew this was only the beginning. Carnival seemed to breathe as the traveler moved deeper within it. Lantern light shifted subtly, guiding rather than leading, as if the path itself understood where they needed to go. The next tent opened without a sound. Inside, the air was cooler, clearer, like early morning before thought begins. A wide table stretched through the center, covered in thin sheets of frost that did not bite the skin. Upon them lay images, not drawn or painted, but formed from light and shadow. As the traveler leaned closer, the images changed. A younger version of themselves appeared, sitting at a window much like the ones in the valley town. Outside, life waited. Inside, hesitation lingered. The scene dissolved gently, replaced by another. A moment of laughter cut short, a choice left unspoken, a door never opened. The traveler's chest tightened, then softened. The images did not accuse. They did not ask for correction. They simply existed, asking to be acknowledged. In another tent, cushions were arranged in a wide circle. People sat there in silence, eyes closed, hands resting loosely in their laps. Above them, faint shapes drifted like clouds, hopes that had once been set down because they felt too heavy to carry. As each person breathed, one shape would grow lighter, then slowly rise, dissolving into the lantern-lit air. The traveler did not sit, but watched. They felt something loosen again, something old and patient. Further on, a smaller tent glowed with a deeper gold. Inside, a single cradle rocked itself, slow and steady. It held nothing, yet the traveler felt the presence of every night they had gone to bed tired and told themselves, tomorrow will be easier. They stayed there the longest. Time moved differently in the carnival. Minutes stretched into softness. The cold no longer reached their bones. And yet, beneath the calm, something waited. A quiet tension, like a question that had not yet found its voice. At the far end of the field, beyond the final row of tents, the larger structure stood revealed at last. A pavilion made of ice and shadow, and in its heart, the traveler sensed, was the one place they could not pass through without being changed. The pavilion did not invite the way the other tents had. It waited. Its walls were formed of layered ice, clear and pale, catching the lantern light and bending it inward. Shadows moved within those walls, slow and indistinct, like thoughts drifting just beyond reach. The air around it was colder, sharper, yet strangely clean. The kind of cold that wakes something honest in the chest. The traveler stopped a few steps away. Until now, the carnival had felt like a gentle unfolding. Nothing demanded attention. Nothing insisted on being faced. But here, in front of the pavilion, the quiet grew heavier. Not threatening, simply unavoidable. They realized then that the stillness they had been given all evening was not an ending. It was preparation. Inside this place waited the things that could not be softened by distance or time alone. The tiredness that came not from effort, but from holding oneself together too tightly. The grief that had never been loud enough to justify stopping. The tenderness that had been postponed again and again, out of habit, out of fear. The traveler's breath slowed. Around them, others paused as well. Some turned away, choosing the comfort of the lantern-lit paths behind them. The carnival did not judge. It did not close its gates. It allowed each soul exactly the distance they could manage. The traveler remained. They thought of all the moments when rest had felt undeserved. All the nights spent convincing themselves that stillness could wait. The weight they carried was familiar. So familiar, it had almost become invisible. Almost. With a quiet resolve, they stepped forward. The entrance of the pavilion opened like a held breath finally released, and the cold wrapped around them, not as punishment, but as truth. Inside, the world grew very quiet. At the center stood a mirror, tall and frozen, its surface smooth as winter water. It did not reflect the traveler as they were, but as they felt. Layered, tired, careful. Behind the reflection shimmered other versions too. The one who had once rested easily, the one who still hoped, the one who was simply enough. The traveler understood then. The conflict had never been about doing more. It had always been about allowing less resistance. They placed a gloved hand against the ice. It did not burn. It did not break. Instead, it warmed, slowly, gently, responding to the simple act of being touched without demand. Something inside the traveler loosened at last, and in that release, the carnival seemed to exhale with them. The mirror's surface softened beneath the traveler's hand, turning from ice to something like clear water held in place by light. The reflection wavered, no longer fixed, no longer certain. It waited. The traveler felt a familiar urge rise. The instinct to step back, to apologize for taking up space, to retreat into motion before stillness could ask too much. That instinct had carried them far in life. It had kept things running. It had kept pain quiet. But here, in the heart of the winter carnival, there was nowhere else to go. The mirror did not demand honesty. It offered permission. The traveler closed their eyes. In the quiet, memories surfaced not as scenes, but as sensations. The warmth of a blanket pulled too tight, the ache of holding back tears that had never felt urgent enough, the longing to be held by silence without needing to explain why. They let those feelings exist. No fixing, no framing, no forward planning, just presence. When they opened their eyes again, the mirror reflected something simpler. Not perfection, not completion, just a person standing without armor, breathing without effort. The traveler understood the choice now. They could leave the carnival unchanged, carrying its calm like a borrowed coat, warm for a while, but eventually set aside. Or they could accept the quieter truth the mirror offered, that rest was not a reward, but a right. That stillness was not the absence of worth, but its foundation. Slowly, deliberately, the traveler leaned forward and stepped through the mirror. There was no shock, no falling, only warmth spreading through the cold, like dawn finding the edges of night. Behind them, the pavilion's ice began to fade, its work complete. And in its place, something gentler remained. A deep, steady quiet that did not ask to be filled. The traveler emerged from the pavilion into a softer world. The lanterns still glowed, but their light had dimmed to the color of early dawn. The tents stood quietly, their shapes already loosening, edges blurring as if they were remembering how to disappear. The carnival was leaving. Snow began to fall again, slow and wide, each flake unhurried. It settled over paths and footprints alike, erasing the night with tender patience. No sound marked the farewell. No final glance was needed. The traveler felt lighter, though nothing visible had changed. The weight they had carried for so long was not gone entirely, but it had shifted, no longer pressing inward, no longer defining every step. It rested now where it belonged, as part of them, not against them. Around the field, others moved toward home. Some walked alone. Some paused to look back once, faces calm, expressions softened by something unnamed. No words were exchanged. None were necessary. By the time the traveler reached the edge of the town, the field lay empty once more. No tents, no lanterns, only smooth, untouched snow beneath the growing light. Yet the quiet remained. It followed them through the streets, into the familiar rooms of their life. It settled beside the hearth. It waited at the bedside, not as a memory of the carnival, but as a knowing, a gentle assurance that stillness could be returned to whenever it was needed. The valley woke slowly, and somewhere beneath the morning's first breath, the quiet dreams continued, patient as ever. And perhaps this is how the winter carnival always works. It does not arrive to change the world or to fix what feels broken. It comes only to remind us of what we have been carrying and what we are allowed to set down, even if only for a while. In our own lives, we move through days filled with motion and expectation. We learn to stay useful, to stay strong, to stay ahead of the quiet places inside us. And yet, those places wait with great patience. They do not demand attention. They simply hope for it. Maybe rest is not something we earn after everything is finished. Maybe stillness is not a pause between meaningful moments. Maybe it is where meaning quietly begins. So as you drift towards sleep tonight, you might gently ask yourself, without urgency, without judgment, where in your own life a small winter carnival could appear, and what it might feel like to step inside, even for a moment, and allow yourself to rest. Thank you for listening, for slowing down, and for allowing this story to walk beside you as the night deepens. If you'd like to keep these gentle nights close, you can subscribe and join us again for future tales meant for rest and reflection. Let the story fade. Let the day loosen its hold. Sweet dreams and good night.